Hi, my name is Jeff Hollinger. I bought an ANG Patriot airplane kit from Veloce Planes, and I'm going to tell you a little bit why I did that. So, I've been looking for a kit airplane for several years now, trying to find the right one for me. I looked hard at Velocity aircraft, Glass Air, Sportman, Vans RV-10, and even the Sling TSI family of aircraft. I'd really kind of thought that I was going to end up buying and building a Sling TSI. It was as close as what I was, looking for in an aircraft kit. I own a PA-30 Twin Comanche, so I was really looking for something that had the same performance as that Twin Comanche. So basically an airplane that flew at 160 plus knots, could carry 4 people minimum, and also carry 120 pounds of baggage, which, with 4 people, it's only 30 pounds a piece. So, not too unreasonable in my world for having a true 4-seat airplane. I also didn't want to spend, 2,000-3,000 hours kind of building the plane. I want to build a plane, but at the same time, I don't want to spend, umpteen years doing the process of getting a flying aircraft, considering I want to use it besides just build it. The final piece for me was that I wanted a full airframe parachute, mainly because my wife doesn't fly. She has no desire to fly. I've even just kind of taught her, or, tried to teach her just the basics of flying, and she's just really not interested. So for me, peace of mind, having that final safety feature with a full frame parachute system was key to me for a kit. I kind of got turned on to Veloce Planes when I saw a YouTube video about the Veloce 400. I looked hard at that aircraft, but it just didn't fit all the little things I was looking for in an airplane kit. Once I saw a YouTube presentation or a webinar that Jamie did on the ANG Patriot that basically said they were going to start introducing to the US. So I kind of knew that this looked like the kit for me, so I did a lot of research into it. The fact that once I got on ANG's Patriot's website and they had a full airplane flight manual, maintenance manual that I could look at that had all the schematics of the systems, had all the numbers. Again, over in Europe, this is certified aircraft, so they had all that information available that I could look at and go through, besides what Jamie had on his website with it. One of the big selling points to me was the center of gravity. Like in that airplane flight manual, they have center of gravity examples from the lightest configuration to the heaviest configuration. A lot of other kit airplanes I had looked at that had a full airframe parachute system, they had center of gravity issues, because most of the time the airframe parachute, which sits back here on the AMG Patriot, actually sit up here in the cargo area, so it takes up cargo space, and then 2, it sits so far back that it usually becomes a center of gravity issue that moves the center of gravity further back on the plane, so you actually end up losing weight or passenger or baggage because of that. Well, this aircraft, based on the examples, did not have that, where in the examples they have 4 170-pound passengers. They have full baggage, which is about 130 to 133 pounds of baggage in the back. They had full fuel tanks, which I think is about 65 gallons, if I remember right. And the center of gravity was within limit with all that. And then it gave an example of the minimum. Now, this is a 4/5-seat aircraft, so they did give an example of 5 170-pound passengers minus the 130 pounds of baggage with full fuel, and it was within the full center of gravity envelope of this aircraft. So that was a huge selling point to me, to be able to see that, especially after looking at other kits, that the center of gravity was an issue with those. Let's see, some other things that kind of sold me on this plane. If you notice, as I talked about the center of gravity, the wings sit back further on this aircraft. So if you're in the pilot seat or the passenger seat, you have an awesome like forward down view of, better than most other low wing aircraft. I used to own a Cicada TB-21 aircraft, and that aircraft had the same kind of configuration where the wings sat back further. Excuse me. To me, again, with my little bit of aeronautical knowledge, by moving the wing back, a lot of times that shifts the center of gravity back on the aircraft. But from a pilot perspective, besides the center of gravity benefit, it gives a great view benefit, because a lot of low wings, your wing tends to block your ability to see below you. With this aircraft, and I've actually climbed in the seat here and looked, like forward and down, like it's got a great view. It's got a great field of view with that. Again, my Cicada TB-21 had that. You're going to get a few more points here that is very familiar between my Cicada TB-21 and this aircraft. Another thing is besides the wings kind of sitting further back, the horizontal stabilator in the back here sits further back also. So obviously I'm early into the build, so I don't have a lot of my airplane together, but you can see where the horizontal stabilator goes and where the rudder would go. Well, what I learned with my Cicada TB-21, again having the same configuration, is that if you're into a stall/spin situation, the airflow coming up from the aircraft actually allows the rudder to still have authority, whereas if the rudder was like back here further on most other aircraft, the horizontal stabilator blocks the airflow and prevents airflow over the rudder. So a lot of aircraft like Cessnas or even Pipers, if you get into a stall spin situation, neutralize controls, center the ball, foot opposite the ball for your spin, but you got to push the stick forward to then push the nose forward to get that airflow over the rudder. And this I haven't seen the procedure yet on this aircraft. I don't remember it, but I know in the Cicada with the same configuration, there was no need to do that pushover on the stick because there was already rudder authority because the horizontal stabilator wasn't blocking that airflow. So again, another huge safety feature that as soon as you get into that stall situation, your rudder should be able to maintain authority without having to push the nose over. Can't see it here on the aircraft, but I've got the landing gear already off the paint for rework and stuff for that before putting it back on. But this aircraft has a trailing link landing gear system, which again, on my Cicada TB-21, I had that. I also flew T-45 Goshawk Charlie aircraft, where most any kind of carrier-based aircraft have a trailing link design. It is a very forgiving landing gear design system. My normal background is a helicopter pilot right now, so just having that trailing link design makes pretty much any landing a good landing, or at least it feels like it. So even if you're not prone to having consistent good landings, that trailing link landing gear will definitely make a smooth landing pretty much every time, unless you really screw it up on that. The other thing I really like about this aircraft is the room inside. I'm not a big person, so that wasn't as much of a factor, but it is with regards to the instrument panel size, just having like shoulder room, head room, leg room, like even the back here, there's an ample amount of space in this aircraft. I mean, the cargo hold is just large, especially for, typical 4-seat passenger aircraft. So that's, one definite plus with regards to it. Another thing I like with this aircraft, the engine is designed and built around the Rotax series of engines, 4-cylinder, very powerful, proven, capable engines. They're on the Predator, Reaper drones that the U.S. has. So they've got thousands, if not millions of hours on those engine types, at least from that manufacturer. And they're all basically designed around the same, like core for the engine. What I'm planning on putting on is an Edge Performance 918, which is basically a beefed up version of the Rotax 916. So the kit comes with firewall forward, so a lot of that stuff that you would normally have to buy separate is included with this kit. Along with that engine, you get a nice fuel burn. It depends on which model series. I'm going to walk into here and kind of start looking at the kit components that came with the aircraft. Is that besides that, depends on the series of engines, but relatively you're looking at like anywhere from a 9 to 10 gallon per minute fuel burn probably at cruise. Again, that's just reading the numbers. I don't know proven, like in my aircraft what I'm going to have, but that's still a reasonable fuel burn for doing, at least what's advertised is 100 on a Rotax 915 is doing 186 knots true airspeed at 23,000 feet. Which is what the max altitude for the Rotax turboed series engines is, what their altitude range is on that. Again, this aircraft's all carbon fiber, mostly with some fiberglass in there. Another awesome feature I loved about this aircraft was that there are no cables on the flight control systems. It's all carbon fiber tubing, push-pull rods. So again, just having authority, if anybody's ever dealt with like cables and trying to keep them tensioned properly, and it's, I won't say it's a hassle, it's just the normal maintenance practice that you got to get used to, but not having to worry about that with carbon fiber tubing. You definitely get a lot more positive control between your controls on the aircraft. So anyway, this is, again, just a few of the reasons kind of why I bought this kit. It's a very complete kit. I'm looking forward to building it. This is my first airplane kit that I'm building, so there is a learning curve with it. I did take the EAA composite construction course, which I would recommend. It's a very basic, very affordable composite course, but I had zero composite construction leading up to that course, and after the course I feel very competent and capable to build safe composite parts and materials for my aircraft that I plan on doing. So again, feel free to let me know your comments or anything if you like, but this is why I bought an ANG Patriot, and I'm looking forward to finishing it and flying it someday. Thank you. Bye.